Again? All right. Hello and welcome to this session on statistics. So we're having a class here at the office, where we just decided to create a recording so we can share it so you guys can see it later on the channel, but also the students in the class can be able to go over the session if they need. Okay, so we will start by having a general discussion. Kenneth, you said you have come across statistics before, right?
Yes, sir.
Where did you come across statistics, the topic of statistics?
GCSE.
GCSE 3. What do you guys think statistics is about?
Collecting raw data.
Collecting raw data. Huh.
Preparing the raw data, analyzing them, presenting them. Analyzing,
presenting data. Wow. What is raw data?
Like math is not fresh, it's raw.
Huh, interesting. Okay, but raw data, that's an important thing to keep in mind. It's really information that we have not yet processed. Yeah? So raw data, right? Data. Okay, so yeah, so raw data. That's a useful concept to keep in mind. So statistics is about the collection of data, organizing, arranging, cleaning up that data, and then you analyze that data to find useful insights. And once you do that, then you can present the finished work. How are statistics often collected? How do we collect data, rather? How do we collect the data?
By sample of population.
Sample, population. What's the difference between a sample and a population? You get?
Just like this example?
No, what's the difference between, if I say go collect data on the population, go collect data on the
you have to show the sample of the thing that you are going to show to the population, to the people. So you can't say it by mouth, you have to give one example to be able to see
what you
are talking about.
Sample means an example, a concrete example.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think? The same?
Sample is an example.
Okay, it's actually different.
It's for the product area, it's an example. Or like for the human area, like a brief or like
to show them
a short,
what you are talking about is real.
Like an example for like you want to collect data for the whole country. You can't exactly collect the data for the country, so you just get a sample, a couple of people instead of millions, and you ask them about what they like, then you can. That's what I was saying.
100%. Well, that's the idea we mean in statistics when we talk about a sample. A sample is just that we are not going to collect data or information on the whole population, right? So sometimes we take a sample of that population. Now, a sample is maybe, I want to find out certain information. What sort of things will be important to collect information about?
About what?
Yeah, is there any sort of information that's useful? Say maybe if you are working in the Ministry of Finance, you are planning for the budget. If you are a business person, if you are a teacher, you are working in a hospital, what sort of information would you like to collect?
For the hospital, you have to know the age, the type of illness, the allergies of the patient. Yeah.
Okay. Any more examples? Yeah. What sort of information would you be interested in as a business person, restaurant owner?
Okay, like the restaurant owner, you have to know the type of food that you are going to cook for certain different people.
What's people's different favorite dishes?
Like age,
the ages.
Like for old people, you have to know for salt and pepper also. Like for the kindergarten, also the same thing.
Yeah.
So you have to know the different types of value of food to serve to the people.
Right. I like that. Yeah. And also, for example, with the restaurant, is there maybe a day of the week that people come most often?
Yeah.
So you adjust your operations based on that.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that's the thing we're going to consider a lot also about is statistics is very, very applicable in real life. In that case, if you have studied the trends, you know which month that customers come most often or which day of the week.
Type of food.
The types of food. When you are doing your planning, whether it's about when you should give holidays to your staff, you think about all those things, right? If you are, so we mentioned the different sort of information different people will be interested in, right? If you're a tailor, what sort of information would you be interested in?
Measuring.
The measurement, the style.
Style. What is the most favorite style people like in this area? Women, what sort of styles do they come for most often? Right?
Media skirts.
If you know that's what most people come for, maybe you can plan and say, even let me go, before they come, let me prepare them and put them away. So when somebody comes later, I'll just, in the season, whether it's maybe Ramadan time or something like that, then you can sell that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, how about the government? Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education. What sort of information would they be interested in?
For the education.
Say Ministry of Health, for example.
Ministry of Health, for example.
Like in emergencies. Have we had any emergencies?
Yes.
In the country?
Yes.
Any examples? Ebola, yes. Coronavirus. Mudslide that happened. So what sort of information would the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health be interested in this sort of scenarios?
The number of people in that particular area.
Number of people in that area. What else would they be interested in?
They have to know the ages.
The ages of those people.
The size of the area.
Yeah, the mass, the type of land mass of that particular area, right? Now, why is it important for them to know all of these things?
They have to know because of the drugs to send to the people.
What drugs do we send?
And the food also.
What sort of foods do we send?
Important so they will not waste resources.
You will not waste resources, right? What are some of the dangers that will come? So you mentioned already waste of resources.
Death.
Yes, death that could have been avoided, right? Yeah. So therefore we can see that statistics is extremely important, right? If you are a logistics company, you want to know what day is it best for you to supply your customers or what time of the day. Sometimes it comes to people by experience. You just know that on Wednesdays traffic is high, so you don't supply, right? But when you're dealing with complex systems, say maybe you are working in the president's security team, you need to be able to know why, you need to evidence to show why you decided to use this route rather than this other route, for example, right? If you're a business person who is going to launch a new product, you need to collect information that is relevant to the particular product, right? I want to know, if I want to launch a fruit juice product, what sort of information would I want to know?
The area.
For fruit juice? Which area? What is it about the area?
The population.
The population, yes. Because that helps me to know, like in terms of how much money am I going to make? Even if everybody bought from me, right? I want to know the population of the area. What else would I want to know?
The type of people that are living in that.
Yeah, in terms of types, what do you mean? What types of people?
Like we want to know if it's like student, school, or even a workplace.
Occupation or status of the people, right? So that's very, very useful, and that's why we're going to talk more about data. Yeah, so I want to know the occupations of people. I want to know what else? The ages of different people, the types of fruit juices that people normally drink currently, right? So then I can decide either to bring a new one to add to the flavors, or maybe to sell the most popular one, or the one that is least provided. Maybe within this market, people really like this, but they don't get it as much. So now, because I know that gap as a business person, I will come now and provide something that people want to pay for, and they will give me money for, right? So statistics is useful for businesses, it's useful for government. If you want to plan the economy for the economy, you need statisticians. As well as a lot of statisticians that work for the government, economists. Yeah. So keep in mind. So we've mentioned the idea of population, sample, what statistics are, some of the areas, the importance of statistics, and some of the dangers if we're making decisions that are not backed by statistics, right? Okay, so keep in mind though, this idea of a sample versus a population is what leads to certain formulas will be different. It also raises certain questions. So when we collect, like basic statistics we'll be interested in would maybe be the certain averages, like the mean, the median, the mode, which we'll talk about in depth as we go along the lesson. But also, somebody might be concerned about, if you say the price of fish in Freetown is 10,000 meals, what sort of question would somebody ask me? I come to you, Mr. President, prices have gone very high. Look, the price of fish is 10,000. What sort of questions would the president ask me?
The type of fish.
The type of fish that you have this for? Is the red flickering?
Yes.
Okay. What else?
How many people did the number of people you asked their prices if you collected?
Exactly, the number of people I talked to. You want to know, right? And also who, so not just the number, the different type of people. Maybe I am talking about prices of fish, but I only talk to market women, or I did not talk to people who actually buy fish, for example. Because maybe somebody will say this is what I am selling, but when somebody comes and negotiate and they sell it, they buy it lower or higher. You never know, right? Also, did you talk to people who maybe in general hate the government in that area? It's true, right?
Yeah.
So all those things pose questions. If you say the price of fish is 10,000 euros, now I'll be asking you, show me the data and I'll look. What is the standard deviation? That's a concept we'll cover. It's if not the most important concept you need to know in statistics, one of those. Because you might have said the average price is 10,000 euros, but maybe there are people who are selling a different type of fish that is really expensive. And it is that particular type of fish that made this price to be 10,000. So when you show me standard deviation and other different measures of dispersion, like how the data spreads, I will have a better understanding of this information, right? Because statistics can also be misleading if you're not careful, okay? Somebody can lie. They can tell you 50% of the people say this. How many people did you talk to, right? So in statistics, often sampling is one important topic you study in statistics. How many people are you representing? Did you talk to different groups, like maybe you talk to elderly people, young people? If it's a topic that is relevant to everybody, you don't want to just go and talk to young people or students in school. Somebody will also ask you qualitative questions, like in terms of the quality of the information you have collected. So keep that in mind. Now, because I mentioned qualitative, it brings me to us talking about data. What do you think data is?
It means information.
Information. Huh. Okay, we already gave examples of information, right?
Yes.
Now, data is collected every now and then. We have an interest, we want to start a business, you are running, you are a matron in a particular hospital, or maybe at a university, you are collecting like students, how often they leave for holidays, right? All those sorts of things. You are collecting data. But also, even nowadays with our mobile devices, the applications you are using, when you go to Facebook, you click like on something, Facebook is keeping that data. You have liked this person's picture. You hate whenever you see this kind of thing. So whenever you are clicking and all those things you are doing, Facebook has like a giant, they call them data centers. We have all this information goes, it's kept. So tomorrow, if somebody, if Facebook would know what to show you, what sort of things you are interested in, because they have been collecting that data on you, right? So all of these things are useful because it makes it easy for Facebook to show you the kind of things you are interested in, right? It also means people who are selling, who are business people will know. Young people around this age, they tend to like these sorts of things. They tend to hate these sorts of things. So when you are creating your advertisement, for example, you will target your wording to reflect those things that they like and they hate, right? How much people are willing to pay, you think about all those factors. So that's data. We can break data down into two major groups, two major baskets. What are those baskets? We say quantitative and qualitative. What do you think is the difference between them?
Quantitative have opinion, disliked,
Good. So it's about descriptions. You're describing something. And often the things like opinions, dislikes, likes, colors of things, like maybe the number of yellow, the colors of cars in a particular, maybe you sit down in the road, you'll be checking. Anytime a car passes, okay, red, you tick on red. Anytime a yellow car passes, tick on yellow. You are collecting qualitative data, right? Now, so we have qualitative data, and then we have quantitative data. What do you think quantitative data will be about? Yeah? Go ahead. What do you think it will be about? Quant, from the word quant.
The quantity
of things.
Yes.
You are quantifying, right? So you are either going to be counting or measuring when you're talking about quantitative data. What things can you count in this class?
Number of chairs,
number of tables,
number of beds,
number of female, number of male, right? You can count and measure a lot of things, right? If you can count them by pointing to them like 1, 2, 3, and things like that, it's called discrete quantitative data. If something is ringing now, so for example, number of employees, you can come and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If you, the number of users of a particular product, right? You can count, whatever you count, is discrete data. If you measure, however, it's continuous data. What sort of things do we measure?
Like in the air of the hospital, you can measure like the temperature.
Temperature, that's a good one.
In the food aspect, you can measure meat, etc.
Meat? How is meat measured?
Scale.
Using a scale, right? When you get to the market, you want to buy meat, put it on a scale so they measure it, right? So that's a type of quantitative data and it's continuous. Okay, because it lies on a continuum. Like you have the scale goes from zero, from the weight 0 kilogram or 0 pounds, all the way to a higher one. Right? The further it goes, the heavier the meat is. Right? So it's continuous. It lies on a continuum. Even height of people, you have a range where people's height fall. So people reach a particular height. Yeah. So if you are measuring things like speed, weight, length, it's continuous quantitative data. If you are counting, it's discrete quantitative data. In the area of qualitative data, it's also called categorical data. Please keep this flowchart in mind. You might see elements of it in a quiz. You never know. So we have nominal data and ordinal data. Now, if I ask you, I say I've created this fruit juice, and I come to you and ask you, how to give me your level of satisfaction of what I have done for you, the juice that I've produced. If you tell me 2 out of 5, somebody tell me 4 out of 5, somebody tell me 0 out of 5, do those numbers mean something to me?
Yeah.
Yes. right? So there is an order to those numbers, so we call it it's ordinal data, right? If we give a test in a class and you score, you come first, you come third, somebody comes sixth, is that important?
Yeah.
It's important, so it's ordinal data. If, however, it's the label we give is not relevant in terms of quality or magnitude, it's going to be nominal data. It's just giving a name, right? For example, gender. It's something that might be useful, right? How many people you spoke to that are female? You may take each of these questions on your survey and say, so surveys are one of the tools that are used to collect data, right? So you have a set of questions on a sheet of paper, also sometimes collect a questionnaire. So you go and meet people, collect. Has any one of you ever collected data?